Hi, this is Katie Baumberger. This is my second tool that I'm going to evaluate for accessibility. And this is something that I use in my class. Again, it's for adaptations. This is a physical adaptations flip book. So it's a way for students to take notes about the vocabulary that they'll come into contact with. And I'll just show you what it looks like. Quickly, if I scroll down, you can see the whole thing. So it has an answer key that comes along with it. There's quite a few different pages. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about here is in regards to the textbook. So Rice says on page 218 to provide materials in text and images. So there is text on this resource and there are images down here. However, there's not any audio or video linked to this. And what I could do is provide verbal explanation for these things through audio and video. Figure 8.3 regarding the Tier 3, it talks about providing text to speech. So if we are doing this synchronously, taking the notes and that sort of thing, I could do a text to speech to help some of my students. Figure 8.1 also talks about offering alternative text or a graphic novel. This is just for Tier 1 for modifying the regular curriculum. So if this would be something for my regular ed kids or say for my gifted students, this might be something that I could modify, and enrich what I'm giving them. And also Rice talks about on page 220 for students who have difficulty with reception or if they have trouble copying notes, I might want to provide an audio recording of myself going over these words, talking about where we need to fill them in and giving them additional checks for understanding to make sure that we're filling it in correctly, that they understand what the terms mean. And I could also do verbal rehearsals with them where I say what I want them to write down in the notes and then they can go ahead and do that just to help make this a little bit more accessible. So there's 4 pages here. So like I said, with students who have for instance, ADHD, it talks about on page 223. This is kind of a lot of notes for a student who might have trouble with attention. So since it is kind of a large set of notes, what I should consider doing here if I'm going to use it is chunk these apart for them. Maybe just do 4 at a time. Take a break. Finish up to make it easier. And then in regards to the universal design principles, principle 1 for multiple means of representation. So it does include text that describes camouflage. It also provides a picture example of what that means. However, I could provide non-examples. I could include audio. Okay, and some of these examples are not the best examples for helping someone to understand what mimicry is. Okay, because it's not showing them here, it should show them 2 butterflies, for example, a viceroy and a monarch, not just one. This one's not as bad because they can, if you discuss it, that this animal contains a large layer of fat to help keep it warm. But again, maybe not the best picture. Talking about principle 2, to provide multiple means of expressing understanding. This is just note-taking, so it would have to be through discussion that we're expressing our understanding, through the chat box maybe. After the lesson, to make it better, I could have them use a video for self-explanation of what these things mean. They could type it in text if we're using a chat feature. So I don't think this is the best tool for expressing understanding. This is more of just kind of for introducing information. And then if I talk about Principle 3, multiple means of engagement, where I'm, making sure students are engaged and motivated in different ways. So there wouldn't be a lot of collaboration with this unless the teacher is prompting discussion. So one of the things that I would do is definitely personalize this discussion, talking about, okay, where have you been? Outside, seeing animals use camouflage, maybe in their home, if they've gone to a park, gone to a zoo, anything they've read about. Just try to engage them with their experiences. Share some of your experiences. Encouraging active participation with note-taking. If you have the whiteboard feature like they did in Zoom, you could have the students write in here like you would have them write on the board. Keep them engaged. Again, just provide that discussion with them. Talk about their previous experiences. Otherwise, this does not really allow for a good amount of collaboration or engagement on their part. It could be a really boring tool to use. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, this is totally black and white. So there's no color here. For someone who has visual impairments, the font size that is on this side, which would be the inside of the flipbook, okay, I think it's a little small. We might need to enlarge that. And then page 228 in the book talks about using a screen reader. I don't know how the screen reader would work with this because this is not necessarily bulleted. Okay, so it may not work for that. Another way to help those with hearing impairments, maybe to just be continually using the instant messaging option if you have that on your platform, just to clear up any type of confusion that you may have. For someone who has visual impairments, if the camouflage has something to do with color, or the mimicry has something to do with color, that needs to be considered and explained. Because here, not only is it black and white, but they're definitely not going to get the view of what it would look like if it was colored. So perhaps that would be something that should be added. So overall, I think that because this is in Adobe Reader, it can be edited, so you can fill some things in, can add some comments, you can edit some things in here. So this actually was a worksheet, but I, for my intents and purposes in my classroom, I made it a PDF so that I could actually edit it using my smartboard and use it on my smartboard, but that's just something I did before this lesson. So overall, I think there are some positives about this flipbook for an online tool, and I think there are some negatives and some things that need to be fixed. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and thanks for watching.